Hello to all my fans. My first name is Secret Kismet, and today I want to combine my two biggest interests, Miraculous Ladybug and the Seven Deadly Sins. I love the deadly sins. I love gluttony. I love sloth. They're awesome. And I love Miraculous Ladybug. I love Hawkmoth. I love Mr. Ramier. So why don't I just put together my two favorite things in the world and talk about them for all of my fans online? You may be familiar with the 7 Deadly Sins from YouTuber LovesArt23's awesome videos, but I'm going to reintroduce you to each of the sins as I talk about which Miraculous Ladybug character embodies them the deepest. We are going to be starting off our awesome list with pride. And I think there are a lot of characters that are proud and full of the deadly sin of pride, but the one character that I'm going to have to truly give this title to is Audrey Bourgeois. And Audrey Bourgeois is a pretty misogynistic character. I don't think that she's deserving of this title because of the way that she's treated in the show, but because of the way that she is deep in her hollow heart. Audrey opens her eyes every morning and she witnesses the world the way that she witnesses a chicken pen. She doesn't know anything about anyone and she doesn't give a F about it. She is so proud to be herself that she only spends time with either of her daughters because they kind of look like her. She studies science, she studies history just so that she could be the most knowledgeable person in the world. And she makes textbooks on the side full of knowledge that she has collected about the world that she will not share with anybody else. That is who Audrey Bourgeois truly is, and she is as prideful as a woman with lots of pride. So that's why I picked Audrey. I really like her. I love her design. I love her hat. So I kind of get why she is so full of the deadly sin of pride. And I hope that you understand too. The next deadly sin that we're going to be talking about is one that I think is pretty universal. Wrath. The deadly sin of wrath. The deadly sin of wrath. And there are a lot of Miraculous Ladybug characters that get angry a lot. One that really pops to my head is Lila. She is always going, "I'll get you, Ladybug," which I love. She is always full of wrath and anger. But I don't think that the deadly sin of wrath has to do with actually experiencing anger or extreme anger regularly. I think that if you're wrathful, it's because you resort to anger in times where other emotions or communication are necessary for you and the people around you. Yeah. So, of course, the character who most embodies wrath is Gabriel. Gabriel Agreste! Gabriel is quite the character. He goes through a lot of change throughout this series, but the one thing about him that doesn't change is that he is full of wrath and anger and moments where he least needs to be. Think of all the times that he gets mad at Adrian for sneaking out or doing something against his wishes instead of communicating with his son about the true deep issue that he is certainly aware of. Think about all the times that he reprimands Natalie for not parenting his son the way that he ordered her to, even though she is just his assistant for his work, and even though she is a lifelong friend who not only knew him, but knew his deceased wife and has given up everything that she's ever had to live with him and help him in his crazy goal. Crazy goal! So that's why I think that Gabriel is the embodiment of wrath from Miraculous Ladybug. Next, I'm going to be going on to the sin of greed. Greed is a crazy one. It's like, I love money, I love fame, and those are both things that are very frowned upon in the world, and that is why it's a deadly sin. That is why it is a deadly sin. That is why it is a deadly sin. That is why it is a deadly sin. So you may be thinking, who embodies greed the most? Is it Bob Roth? Is it XY? Those are such greedy little musicians, and no way is it Bob Roth or XY, because they're not characters, they're marbles spinning around in the show. So I'm actually choosing Jagged Stone. Jagged Stone is greedy. Jagged Stone wants to have his cake and eat it too and become a chef. He wants everything in the world served on a golden platinum platter for him, and he gets it. He wants to throw away his family for his career, and he gets it. He wants to come back and be in Luca and Julica's life, and he gets to be. He gets their love. He gets their praise. He gets their adoration. He goes away with Luca to become a guardian. He is able to take away his son that he doesn't even know, that doesn't even know him, take him away from his mom, from his friends, from his home, and then train with him to become this magical, awesome guardian. Jagged Stone is as greedy as they come. He is twisted. He is rotten. He is a greedy musician, and he gets exactly what he thinks he deserves. He's a musician. He takes advantage of Penny. He takes advantage of Penny in the way that Gabriel takes advantage of Natalie. I want to hear you're insane, Jagged Stone, because he is. He's insane, and he's greedy, and he takes advantage of women and children. And I don't see Bob Roth talking to any women. Yeah. Bob Roth is not a misogynist. We have never seen any proof of Bob Roth being a misogynist. Okay. Okay. So, next is kind of a controversial sin for me. I actually do not think that this should be one of the 7 deadly sins. And I was going to cut it out of this video. The sin is gluttony. Gluttony itself is a sin, not like the act of gluttony. Whoever made gluttony a 7 deadly sin, they are sinful of the sin of repetition, because gluttony is literally greed. The only distinction between the two is that gluttony is often spoken about in terms of food, which is crazy. Greed encompasses being greedy for literally anything, but there has to be a separate one for being hungry all the time. First of all, this is totally fat phobic, because the only distinction between being greedy for money and being greedy for food is that being greedy for food is often associated with a physical image of a person that a lot of people don't like to see. And including gluttony as one of the 7 deadly sins really opens the door for the personification of it to include a fat phobic caricature of a person, of a human, and I do not appreciate or condone that. It is very cruel and evil, and it suffers from the sin of bigotry. But I will say there is fortunately a Miraculous Ladybug character that embodies gluttony more than any of these other sins are embodied, honestly. And this should come as no shock to anyone. The most gluttonous Miraculous Ladybug character is Tiki. Tiki is such a glutton, it's crazy. Have you seen her in that one episode where she's a glutton? Because she is such a glutton in that episode. It is freaky and crazy. Tiki couldn't stop eating even if it would kill Hawkmoth. Tiki couldn't stop eating even if it would save Nuru, her friend. She doesn't give a F about anything other than food. She only likes Marinette because Marinette's family is a baking family. She likes to sneak down in the wee hours of the morning to sit behind Tom as he bakes and sniff and smell the bread in the oven. And she uses her magic powers to go through the oven door and eat it all. She eats his bread, but he just thinks that he's crazy. He's just used to it because it's been going on for so long. But Tiki knows what she's doing. Tiki is a glutton. Tiki is crazy. She is not the Kwame of creation. She's the Kwame of consumption. Tiki can't stop no matter what she does, and that is just crazy. She is sinful. But you know what? I've actually reconsidered. I don't think that Tiki suffers from the sin of gluttony in a traditional sense, because I don't think that the sin of gluttony is a valid sin. I don't think it's wrong to want to eat. I don't think it's wrong to like to eat. And I don't think it's wrong that Tiki loves food. Plague loves food, and I have no problem with that. I think that Tiki has the sin of being selfish. Tiki wants all that food to herself at any cost, and she will do anything to get it. And that is the real problem. So, Tiki being the sin of gluttony is kind of not true. But if some random crazy person decided that gluttony was a sin in the first place, I might as well mention the most gluttonous character, which of course everybody knows is Tiki. So we made it. We made it to sin number 6. I'm so excited to get to sin number 6. Oh, Wait, we're on sin number 5. Next is Sloth. And Sloth, I have a little bit less of an extreme feeling about this character being slothful, because I don't think it's a sin to be lazy. I think if you want to be lazy, that's fine, unless you have other people depending on you. Which is kind of ironic for me to say, because this character has nobody depending on them. It's Luca! Luca is such a sloth. If he was an animal, it would be a sloth. He should have the sloth miraculous, because he's so full of sloth, and he's slothful, and he's sinful, and he's slothful. Luca really doesn't do anything. I don't even know who he is as a person because he doesn't do anything. Does he go to school? Does he have any hobbies other than strumming one guitar over and over? I guess he's a guardian now, but that's just because he was too slothful to be in season 5. I don't even know how to explain myself for this sin. If you don't see Luca as full of the deadly sin of sloth, then I just think that we're different people, because Luca is nothing else to me. Every single time he's on screen, I'm just like, oh, well, somebody really lazy is here. And that's okay. I'm not hating on Luca for being lazy and slothful. I guess it's a deadly sin, so that's negative, but, like, I don't think so. Like, I think Luca should be a sloth if he wants to be. But I do think that if the writers are going to include him in the show, they should make him do literally anything ever. But actually, I don't really like Luca, so I'm kind of glad that he doesn't do anything. So this is actually more like, this is like a purifying sin. This is like what purifies Luca's character to me. So I guess this is our first purified sin of the list, and our only one. So that's awesome. Now we have finally reached sin number 6, and I hope that you're excited, because I sure am, because it is lust. And some of you, my fans, might be thinking, who in Miraculous Ladybug is full of lust? There really aren't that many characters, and it's a show for children. Lust is such a weird and complex sin to ascribe to any of these characters. Wrong! Wrong! Put a big arrow on your forehead because you're wrong. The lustful person in Miraculous Ladybug is obviously Nuru. Who else but Nuru is full of lust? Have you seen the way that Nuru looks at Pollen in Dark Ranger? Have you seen the way that Nuru talks to Pollen in Curtain Kalalan? It's crazy. He is so full of lust, it is insane. He can't stop lusting, and that is why he is stuck with Hawkmoth. He's stuck with Hawkmoth because he is lustful, and Gabriel is like, we can't let lust go into the world like this. If he could, he would akumatize Nuru, and that would be his most powerful villain possible, because Nuru is so full of lust that he could destroy the earth with one pucker of the lips. It's crazy. Nuru is crazy. But Nuru's my favorite Kwame, and I totally ship him with Pollen, so I'm not complaining that much. Oh my god! This is the second purified sin of the list. This is the second purified sin of the list. Luca and Nuru are pure sins. This is awesome. But there seriously won't be any more for the list. I'm serious. I didn't think about Nuru last time, but it's over. There are no more purified sins. The rest are deadly and evil, and all of these characters are going to hell. It's time for us to talk about the 7th deadly sin. The 7th deadly sin is envy. And you might be super excited for this one because a lot of characters from Miraculous Ladybug are crazy envious. You might be thinking, oh my god, Kagami is so envious in season 3. But no way. No way would I choose Kagami for this, because the way that Kagami is written in the first half of season 3 and in her 2 episodes in season 2 is super misogynistic. And unlike Audrey, who truly does embody pride despite the misogyny, Kagami is not an envious person. The real envious Miraculous Ladybug character is Thomas Ashbrook. And I mean the character. I mean the character Thomas Ashbrook. The character. I'm not going to talk about the person. The character Thomas Ashbrook is the most envious character in Miraculous Ladybug. Anna Maestro is an episode that drips with the red, warm blood of envy. Thomas Astruck sinks his fingers into every single character in that episode, and he stretches their skin at an uncomfortable angle for them, and he looks in their eye and breathes in their face and says, "Am I worthy? Am I worthy?" And it's crazy. He is full of envy for people who have human souls. And by the end of the episode, he does not get any closer to his goal of having one. He is the most envious Miraculous Ladybug character in the whole show. It's insane. He needs to go to a doctor. And I'm really sorry for saying that. I obviously support people who are envious in real life. And I think that you should go to a doctor if you want to, or if your friends and family say that you should, and you agree with them. But Thomas Astruck, the character, is so full of envy that I think the world is a different color because of him. And that is just twisted. And that's the 7 deadly sins. But wait. I hate the 7 deadly sins. I know I said that the 7 deadly sins are one of my biggest interests, but that's not true. I don't like the 7 deadly sins. I think that they're reductive. Because there are actually 4 more deadly sins. My real interest is the 11 deadly sins. Yeah, the 11 deadly sins are my real interest. This is actually a video combining the 11 deadly sins in Miraculous Ladybug. So I'm going to walk you through the 4 remaining deadly sins and which Miraculous Ladybug characters fit them. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. I'll explain each of the sins, and you will implement them into your everyday life. And you will ask yourself if you embody these sins, and then you will go to a doctor to help yourself because you embody all of them, maybe. So let's start off with the 8th deadly sin, shame. Shame as a deadly sin is not defined as simply feeling the emotion of shame a lot. Very similar to wrath, it's about feeling shame instead of communicating, instead of truly being rational. If you suffer from the deadly sin of shame, it is because you put shame above reality. So what character from Miraculous Ladybug can possibly fit the 8th deadly sin of shame more than Sabrina? I could talk for my whole life about how sinful Sabrina Raincomtrix is, but I will hold myself back and I will restrict myself to the 1 deadly sin of shame. First of all, I just want to say Sabrina knows that she embodies the 8th deadly sin of shame. That is her favorite thing about herself. She looks in the mirror and she feels shame, but it bubbles over into glee, and she has to slap herself in the face to say, "Stop feeling glee, stop feeling glee, you are shameful, you are shameful, you are shameful." And then her father walks in, and he's like, "Honey, I need the mirror to talk about being shameful, because yeah, Roger Cop is shameful too." But that is a whole other discussion. Sabrina is so full of shame that she sacrifices any sort of friendship she can have with Chloe so that she can feel it. Sabrina stays around Chloe not because Chloe takes advantage of her, but because she takes advantage of Chloe to feed her lust for shame. Yeah, she's lustful too, but I can't even talk about that. She's lustful, she's greedy, she's gluttonous, she's a sloth, she's prideful, she's wrathful, she's envious, and all the other ones on this list too. I'm so sorry to everybody who loves Sabrina in the world, but I just think the reality of her character is that she's guilty of 11 deadly sins. But that's not to say that Sabrina is an irredeemable person. I think that Sabrina loves to fetch. She has the dog Miraculous, so that's like a positive trait about her. I also do think that she has great hair sometimes, I guess. Anyway, Sabrina is obsessed with being Chloe's friend, but every single time that Chloe makes a move forward to be a better person, every single time that Chloe makes a move forward to engage with Sabrina more, Sabrina just bites it back like a dog biting at its owner's hand. Yeah, That's why Sabrina really has the dog Miraculous, because she's just like a dog. I don't know if you've ever had a dog or a pooch or a hound, but I will tell you what it's like. When you get mad at them about something, they will whine, they will feel shame, they will look at you with the eyes of a falcon, open, outstretched, witnessing all of you, witnessing them, and they will project their shame outward like a sunbeam, and they will turn you into the ghost colored by their sunbeam until you say, I am so sorry. And you pet them and you give them love. But here's the real thing about dogs. They don't even know what they should be ashamed of. They don't even know who they are. They aren't even humans. They are dogs. And that is where Sabrina and dogs differ. Sabrina has no excuse. While I still understand why people like dogs despite this, because they're not capable of thoughts, Sabrina can think. And she chooses every day to subject herself to shame instead of just finding friends, instead of being friends with Chloe, instead of feeling love and hope. Sabrina's really messed up in the head, and I feel bad for her, but I do blame her. Once again, sorry to everybody in the world who loves Sabrina, and sorry to Sabrina herself if she's real, but I just have to tell the truth. You can pretend that there's a truth spell on me, because I have to tell the truth. And now for the next deadly sin, the 9th deadly sin. And 9 is the number of the devil, so you know this one is really rough. This next sin starts with a B, like Baphomet. It's brutality. Yeah. Brutality is the 9th deadly sin. And you might be saying, what's brutality? Well, here's what brutality is. Brutality has nothing to do with your motive. It has nothing to do with you as a person and your goal. Brutality is all about execution. It's not the way you treat people. Brutality is about going above and beyond to be as cruel, whether it's psychologically or physically, to another person as possible, no matter how irrelevant it is to the situation. And the person who most suffers in Miraculous Ladybug from the 9th sin of brutality is Lila. And unfortunately, I love Lila. So I really don't want to see her in a position of having a deadly sin. This isn't like Nuru, who faces the purified sin of sloth. This truly is a deadly sin for Lila. She is brutal. Lila and her goals are pretty unknown to the world right now, but I think it's easy to say that she wants to shine the way that the sun shines. She wants to rise with her wings into the sky and become an angel that rules over heaven next to God until the day that she becomes God. She wants more and more, and you may say that might make her greedy, but it doesn't. Jagged Stone is greedy because he has achieved what he wants. Lila is not greedy because she hasn't achieved what she wants. She's a devil, not an angel. She is a devil, not an angel. She is a devil, not an angel. She is a devil, not an angel. And she is brutal. The way that she manipulates others, the way that she ropes adult women into her scheme, pretending to be the child of them, the way that she is willing to capture Nuru, the fact that in a chameleon, she almost kills a baby with a bus on purpose, just for fun. She is brutal. She knew that Miraculous Ladybug would save that baby's life, so she was like, whatever, it doesn't matter if that baby dies. And you know what, Lila? If you were that baby, you would not feel the same way. Yeah. If you were that baby, Lila, you would not feel the same way. That is why you are brutal. Because you don't care if you would feel the same way. You just want to hurt. And that is a shame. That is really the biggest difference between Lila and any other Miraculous Ladybug character. She is brutal. You know who else is brutal in this show? Kalki. But that is a different story. If I make a part 2 to this video, watch out for Kalki with brutality, because she's only a marginal amount less brutal than Lila is. And Lila is pretty brutal. She is so brutal that she has fallen in love with colors, and it's so weird. And now we have reached the 10th deadly sin. I hope that you are so excited for the 10th deadly sin because trust me, it is as awesome as a woman, it is as awesome as a man. It is very full of humanity. The 10th deadly sin is being an evil witch. And I know exactly what you're going to say. I'm going to get so many hate comments about evil witch as one of my deadly sins. And I know that most of the people on this list are already evil witches. I know. But there is one Miraculous Ladybug character that is more of an evil witch than literally anyone else. And I just want to say I'm an evil witch. I know evil witches. I'm not saying that being an evil witch makes you evil. It just simply is a deadly sin. And you can own up to that. I own up to that. I'm guilty of the 10th deadly sin of being an evil witch. Whatever. I live my life. I'm alive. I'm a human. I don't care. And I think it's the exact same way for Rose. I mean, have you seen the back of Rose's shirt? It's literally a pair of angel wings. She's clearly an evil witch. Have you seen her eyes? Have you seen her head? Have you seen her design as Pigella? Have you seen anything about her physically? It already screams evil witch. But here are some other factors about her that make her an evil witch. 1, she's a lesbian. 2, she's dating another lesbian. 3, she loves the color pink. 4, she is the voice of a magic user. 5, she loves to sing, and that's the biggest one. She's a singer, she's a witch, she's crazy. And she's the thing that represents Miraculous Ladybug. On Netflix, when you hover over Miraculous Ladybug, the audio that plays is Rose saying, "They're coming from Zombie Zoo." And it is chilling. Every single time I hover over it on Netflix, I'm reminded of the evil witches in that show because, God, there are so many. And you know what? The 11th deadly sin person is also an evil witch. But I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about anyone else on this list. I'm talking about Rose because she is the evilest witch of them all. Yeah. I'm going to pause for a little bit so that you can really think about these 10 deadly sins. I'm going to read through them slowly so you can consider them and think about them before we go to our final 11th deadly sin. So we started with Pride, who is Audrey Bourgeois, because she makes textbooks. Then we went to Wrath, who is Gabriel Agreste, because he can't keep it in. Then we went to Greed, which was Jagged Stone, because he wants it all. Then we went to Gluttony, who is Tiki, because she loves to eat. Then we went to Sloth, who is Luca, and he is purified, but he is lazy as a snake. Oh my God, and he has the snake Miraculous. That's crazy. Then we went to Lust, who is absolutely Nuru, also purified because he uses lust as a force of good. But I do actually think that Nuru has a secret evil side that we will see in Season 6 when he fuses with Null. Then we move to Envy, who is Thomas Ashbrook, the character, because he just loves to be himself. And if he loves any other part of the world, he needs that to be himself too. Then we moved on to Shame, who is Sabrina, because she can't stop being a dog. Then we did Brutality with Lila because she goes way too far when honestly she could kind of just like go work at a daycare. And then we went through Being an Evil Witch with Rose, which that's just self-explanatory. And now we are closing it off. The 11th deadly sin in Miraculous Ladybug and the world is ignorance. Ignorance is a sin that is defined by willfully not understanding the world around you. It is not just from not witnessing the world around you or not caring about the world around you. It is from purposefully and repeatedly not understanding a perspective other than your own. And I know a lot of you watching are guilty of the 11th deadly sin of ignorance. I know it for a fact because every single day I go online and I see how ignorant the world can be on purpose, and it is sick and it is evil and it is twisted, and you're all crazy for that if you're ignorant. But if you're not ignorant, then you're not crazy. Unless you're one of the other sins, then you're crazy in a different way. And I know what you're saying. A lot of children are ignorant, but that's different. This person is definitely not a child. In fact, this person might just be older than almost anything in cosmic history. That's right. The person in Miraculous Ladybug who is the most ignorant, the embodiment of the 11th and final deadly sin, is Dusu! Is Dusu. Dusu is so ignorant. Dusu doesn't care about anyone or anything other than herself simply just because she doesn't care to learn. Where was she when Emily died? Can you imagine how twisted you have to be to just willingly let people get poisoned and cursed and have a blackened, empty heart because you have a broken Miraculous? She can come out of that Miraculous whenever she wants. So when Natalie grabbed it and was going to use it, why didn't she come out and say, "Natalie, don't use me. You'll get cursed just like Emily"? Or did she not even care that Emily got cursed? Did she care that Colt got cursed? Probably not. Because she knew. She's been broken for so long, she can figure it out. There's no way she didn't know that that Miraculous was broken. But 3 people used it, and she didn't give a F about it. The first time we ever see her is in Reflect Doll, where she's just giggling and loving life, despite the fact that Natalie is dying on the floor. And when she realizes that, she's like, "Miss Natalie, I can't believe it." Then she starts crying, making it all about her. Dusu is twisted. Dusu is ignorant as ever. She is so willfully unaware of the world and people around her. She can't see any perspective other than her own, and that is what makes her so guilty of the 11th deadly sin. Yeah. And I will say, here's a little disclaimer. I do like Dusu. I think that Dusu is cool. I don't think that Dusu is a good person, but I think she's a good character, and I'm excited for when we learn a little bit more about the way that she's abusive in her friendships in season 7 or 6. But I do like Dusu. I actually think that every single character on this list, other than Thomas Astruck and Luca, are good characters. And I guess Sabrina, because Sabrina is twisted and evil and should have been the one who was sent off to New York City instead of Chloe at the end of season 5. And I mean that using every single part of my body to say it if I could. I would open my mouth and my arms, my legs, and my torso to say it if I could. But I can only open my mouth, so I hope to God you believe me when I say it. Sabrina should have been the one taken to New York City at the end of season 5. Yeah, anyway, I love the 11 Deadly Sins. I love Miraculous Ladybug. This was so fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you guys, all my fans. I know this was a pretty short video, so maybe I can remake this video and make it a little bit longer in the future, but I don't know. I'll have to see. Let's go for 100 likes. Let's go for 100 likes, everybody. Let's go for 100 likes. Let's go for 100 likes on this YouTube video that I'm making right now. Let's go for 100 likes. Here's the dark truth. I've never made a YouTube video on a computer, but my phone is broken. And my new phone is a flip phone that really is not good. So I'm going to have to make like a PowerPoint and sync it up to this. I'm going to have to edit the audio, and it's going to be horrible. I'm so stressed. I'm literally suffering from the sin of sloth right now because I don't want to do this. And that makes me suffer from the sin of wrath because I'm just getting angry instead of getting motivated. But one day we will all be free, and one day we will be saints above. So I'm just trying to remind myself of that, and I hope that you guys can remind yourself of that whenever you are experiencing the feeling of any of these 11 deadly sins. And I hope that one day you too can fly the way of the angels or whatever you want. I don't care. I don't want to be an angel. But I'll talk to everybody later. Give me video suggestions. Secret Kismet out.